Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, I hate to rehash old talking points, but this bill, unfortunately, still continues to cause me great loathing. Because this is something that I've done many times. I knock a lot of doors. I knock right up to Election Day. And any number of times as we get close to Election Day, I invariably find some folks that still have their ballot and are nervous about whether they're going to get it in time. And typically, they're folks who have mobility problems. They're often senior citizens. There was a lady once who'd recently broken her leg and was in a cast and couldn't get to her car. And they say, oh, I have my ballot still here. I'm worried about mailing it. It may not get there in time. Can you drop it off for me? And I have no idea if they vote for me. When I get it, the thing is all sealed up, and I dutifully take it immediately to the county elections office and drop it off for them. And I'm not telling you this because I'm confessing my sins. I'm bragging. I think it's a great thing to do. I'm proud of it. I think I did them a good service. I helped people vote, legitimate, legal voters who may not otherwise have gotten their legitimate legal vote counted. And I take criminal laws seriously. Even a misdemeanor can really mess with people's lives. There are jobs you can't get. There's places you can't travel to if you have a misdemeanor on your record or a felony. And I don't think we should be making crimes out of things that aren't bad. In fact, I really don't think we should be making good deeds into crimes. I think crime should be things that people viscerally know are bad, things like stealing and hurting people and committing fraud. It should not be doing somebody a favor at their request when they say, here's my ballot, can you drop it off, and you go and drop it off. You should not be a criminal, just under basic principles of criminal law. Now, on those occasions when people gave me their ballot, could I have done something nefarious? Could I have said, oh, I think that person's secretly a Republican, I'm going to tear up their ballot and not drop it off? I could have done that, and it would have been a crime already under our current statutes, as so well pointed out by the good gentleman from 16. Everything that should be illegal is already illegal. If you tamper with the ballot, if you open it, if you change it, if you fill it out for them, if you destroy it, if you trick them, anything that you do should already be illegal. Actually, the one thing that might make sense is to make it illegal to say you're going to drop somebody's ballot off and then not drop it off. That would make sense, but that's not what this bill is. This bill criminalizes the good behavior of doing what you say you're going to do at the request and actually helping that person vote. And, you know, the fact that it could be misused, that's not how we operate. You know, we don't ban all driving because it's possible that somebody could drive drunk. We ban drunk driving. We ban the bad behavior. We don't ban good behavior simply because it's conceivable that somebody somewhere could do it badly. Now, you know, as we regulate election activity, and I know there's a great appetite these days to regulate this kind of thing and fears about election integrity, et cetera, I think there are two basic principles that we should live by. The first is not to create more problems than we're solving. Indisputably, this bill fails that test. There has never been a case in Idaho of any problems whatsoever with ballot delivery. Zip, zero. I've heard of basically one case in America. There was a case in North Carolina years ago where the person actually was indicted because what they were doing was illegal under existing law. They were fraudulently tampering with ballots. So here, we are stopping people potentially from legitimately casting their vote in order to solve a totally non-existent problem that has never been identified in the state of Idaho. And I would say for that one case in North Carolina that was already addressed by their existing laws, I would bet that tens, if not hundreds of thousands of votes across America, legal, legitimate votes have been counted because people got help in dropping their ballots off. So this unquestionably creates more problems than it solves. It could potentially restrict all kinds of legal ballots from being cast while solving no problem. The second principle that I think we should live by when we're regulating election activity is not to bring in regulations that put a finger on the scale and that make it harder for particular groups to vote. Things should have an even-handed impact if possible. This does not have an even-handed impact. And I can certainly tell you anecdotally, when people ask me to drop off their ballots, it's almost invariably senior citizens or people with disabilities, which is why it's not a surprise that we see a letter here from the Disability Council saying that this bill would significantly impede the ability of people with disabilities to vote in Idaho. It would also impede the ability of senior citizens with mobility problems. It would also impede the ability of those who live on tribal reservations. In fact, a very similar bill was struck down by a court in Montana because of its adverse impact on people on tribal reservations from voting, where it's often quite some distance to get to the voting location, and the culture is such that people routinely pick up and drop off each other's mail and routinely ask their neighbors to bring in their absentee ballots for them. So this really hurts groups that I don't want to see hurt to solve a non-existent problem. And I think erecting barriers to the casting of legal legitimate votes actually undermines election integrity. It does not advance it. Making voting harder for people with mobility problems, senior citizens, those who can't walk easily, those with disabilities, and those who live on Native American reservations strikes a blow at election integrity, and I hope you will give this your red light.